Smart 24, driving business.
Thank you for staying tuned to Smart 24 Television, where we believe in driving your business. Good morning to you who's watching us this morning. I hope you have been entertained from the wee hours of 7 a.m. Eastern African time here in Kampala, all the way till now. This is a Business Insight segment, part of the breakfast here at Smart 24 Television. My name is Jane Kasumba. I'm a commercial lawyer attached to Smart 24. Today our discussion revolves around the issue to do with education, appropriate education to make the next entrepreneurs of the future. Is our education right for us to propel our economy? That is the question at hand. But before I introduce my guest, let me also take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are watching us in Cairo, to those of you who are watching us in Abidjan, to those of you who are watching us in Central African Republic, those who are watching us in Djibouti, those who are watching us in Lusaka in Zambia, those who are watching us in South Africa, in Durban in South Africa, those of you who are watching us in Windhoek in Namibia, and those of you who are watching us in the East African capitals this morning, be it Dar es Salaam, be it Nairobi, be it Kigali, be it Juba, and of course also in Mogadishu, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you so much for making Smart 24 Television the channel of your choice when it comes to business. Without further ado, I'm really happy to host my next guest, a gentleman who needs no introduction here in Uganda, and a gentleman who has been almost a constant when it comes to the education system in Uganda. He is one of the major players when it comes to education, and indeed we're here to celebrate him and also discuss at length his contribution and what he thinks on the advent of artificial intelligence and how that is going to change the education system, and how that is going to change the way in which we make money. So here to discuss all that is Mr. Fadil Mande. Mr. Fadil Mande is a teacher by profession, a famed teacher by profession, but now he's also a gentleman of the arts and a famous author in Uganda, and a businessman as well. Mr. Mande, when someone talks about Fadil Mande, who are you? What do you want people to know about?
Okay, fine. Good morning, everybody, and everybody watching and listening in. Well, who is Fadil Mande? Right, let me begin just very simply. Fadil Mande is a man of 74 years of age right now. And as you've said, I am a teacher by profession. I trained as a teacher. And most of the time, since 1971, have been working as a teacher in various, I have worked at teacher training colleges on training teachers. I've worked at secondary school, teaching English and physical education. I have worked at the university. I've worked outside classrooms, training in the community and so on, And I want the audience to know, me, I started working when I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
Working. And I'm very proud of having done that. For example, for me, when I was 8 years, up to the time when I went to secondary school, up to senior 3, 4, actually, I fetched water and sold water to people. And I used to carry
if I may ask you,
yes.
Mr. Fadil Mande, so you started to work at 8.
Yes.
Where did that inspiration for work, because that's early entrepreneurship, where did that passion to work and have your services rewarded start from?
How did it start? It's a long story, but I'll make it brief. It started when I was in primary 3 at a certain school in near Kampala, and some bigger boys used to tease me. They would tease me that I was a child of a prostitute, that my mother was a prostitute, because I was a half caste, I was a mix. They would tease me that my hair was curly and it was like a rat that has dropped in water, you know, that sort of thing. And I was annoyed. I was fairly a small boy, and but I did not want to throw stones at them. But one thing, and I call it my turning point, is that I thought I must begin beating these boys, beating them, not beating them and slapping them and boxing them, but scoring higher than they did. That I must be at the top. That I'm not just nothing. I knew I was proud of myself. I knew who I was. I was proud of my mother. I was proud of who I was. You know, I was proud of my hair. I said the best way of showing these boys that I am not nothing is to begin beating them and be at the top. And that was what that P3, all right? And that's back in the early 60s when I was at my primary school. I chose and decided that I must be at the top in whatever I do. And I started immediately. I started beating them in the races whenever I was running. Already I was running 200 meters. I was running 400 meters, you know. But this time, when I started again, I was beating them so badly. I used to beat them in English, you know, because my English was very good, much better than any other student in the school, all right? I would pass a tall boy and just wave to them, you know, and then move ahead.
So that's when that burning passion.
Yes, that burning passion.
To get ahead.
Exactly, you know, and it was related to performance. And that is my turning point. I decided that whatever I do must be able to prove that I am not just trash, I am somebody, I am great in me, and I must do great things. In fact, at the end of P3, my headmaster, without consulting me, he made me jump primary 4. I never studied primary 4. So I went from primary 3 to primary 5, you know, and that was because I was doing extraordinarily beyond what other students were doing. So that's the beginning. Whatever I am, whatever I have done it because I have believed and I've designed it that I must be at the top. Whether in class, whether outside, whether on TV, whether on what. All right? And that's very, very important for anybody. You must find yourself and know that God created you and packed you properly with the right skills, the right energies, the right attitudes, and so on and so forth. So it's up to you to organize yourself and use those skills, the talents, to be beyond what you are right now.
Okay, yeah. That is a very good way of putting it, Mr. Mande. The fact that you started your entrepreneurship journey very, very early in life. But most people know you as one of the pillars and the backbones when it comes to education and the education system in the East African region. Now, education has greatly changed. We can't lie about that. I want to know, in the times when you were a central player in the education system, what were you looking at? What were the primordial areas that you were looking at? And how was that equated to business? Or was it, or was your education system created in such a way that there's always a time in life for everything, where when people are going to school, it's time for you to go to school? Yeah? There wasn't that option of both school and business.
Yes, yes. Well, let me go back a little bit on this, what I was telling you about my turning point, the jobs which I did at that age. I said I fetched water, and I never carried water, a water container on my head. I always carried it using my 2 arms, 2 hands, because I was already beginning to build my body. So it was like weightlifting all along, you know. I dug in people's gardens. I built houses with mud and water. Those were, and sometimes I would trek, move around, selling products like sumbusas and chapatis and so on and so forth. So those were the jobs. And of course, the biggest job which I did up to senior 4 was digging pit latrines. Now, why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this, ladies and gentlemen, because these are jobs, and nobody told me to do those jobs. It was me fulfilling what I had turned into. Yes,
you had promised
I must be at the top, and you can't be at the top without knowing how to work. Are you getting me? So I started working because I wanted to build myself. My mother was paying my school fees, all right? And so that's what it was. And that is the turning point. Now, when you come to the education system, me as a teacher, because I decided to be a teacher when I finished Senior 4 at Luvili Secondary School, I decided to go for teaching. I was nearly going to go and join the East African community to work as, what do they call them? People who work at the borders and so on and so forth. But I decided to go and be a teacher. And what was in my mind was a teacher to change me, a teacher for me to use my teaching skills to change other human beings. So right away, even before I started being trained into a teacher, I knew I was going to be a changer, and that's how I handled the whole thing. And that's what I've been doing. I've been working to cause change in the human being, you know, by providing, you know, that is objective and very clear. So for me, that's what I started with, all right? And I want to answer your question by saying, unfortunately now, in most parts of Uganda and most parts of East Africa, we are not deliberately using education, and we shall explain what is education, because that's another thing which a lot of people have not understood properly, you know. A lot of people do not use education to transform
their lives. The
challenge of Africa, the challenge of Uganda, the challenge of every country is to be able to transform the human being, or to build the human being, basing it on what God has endowed them with, to turn them into wonderful performers, producers, and makers of things. So the whole system is, now I can summarize it generally, it's about passing examinations.
Okay, so
and theoretical questions.
Okay, I think that is a very poignant issue that you brought up. The issue that the education system is just about passing. The student focuses greatly on passing his or her examinations. That's what matters. And not only that, when the education system was created for many parts of Africa during the colonial times, it was created for assembly line workers, for you not to think outside of the box, for you to be trapped in by the dogmas of education and religion. And that's why many people who have perhaps had a full education might step out and not be successful in business. Mr. Mande, let us talk about the issue of the relationship between education and business. How important is it for us to ensure that African countries today are able to impart entrepreneurial skills early on in students and make it a primordial part of the curriculum?
Yeah, but this is great that you have organized this program. We are talking about how do we make business people, how do we make people who know what to do in order to generate income. We are talking about people who can organize all sorts of activities as long as they are healthy and moral, you get me, to make money, all right? But of course, we need to think as Africans, we need to look at what is wrong with our problem now. Thoroughly, what's wrong? What is it that we don't have? Okay? What is it that we are missing and we are not using it? All right? Let me go just on that point. All right? Africans, we, of course, right now, we are the fastest growing population on earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they say actually by 2030,
yes,
by 2030, every fifth person will be an African person, a black African person.
Absolutely. But the question is, what sort of African person are we producing? Have we as countries sat down to say, this is the human being we want? And I want to challenge everybody listening there or watching, please, we need to go back. It's like when I'm a father and I'm a mother or something, you know, I must know exactly what my child would like, I would like my child to be, so that I guide, you know, without taking over, you know, I guide the child to be what I intend for him or her to be. What African do we need, all right? We need to do that, all right? But I must mention that very quickly, we must also understand that through our history, we were a history Africa was a history of small tribes at the beginning, disunited, not together, all right? Africa was turned into a supply of human beings. Slavery took place here and deprived us of a lot of things and turned our mind there. Africa was turned out into raw material producers, the market to buy what industrial countries had manufactured, and then of course to believe in the outside world. So the whole of that history, okay, turned us or affected us in our mind.
In the mindset.
All right?
Yes.
In the mindset. And I want to go very quickly because this is a short time. But people listening in there, we need to study this thing completely and see how to replace it with the right mindsets. For example, the whole history which I've talked about has created, for example, 6 killer mindsets in us. And a lot of people don't believe that they are.
What are the 6 killer mindsets?
Those are the ones which I want to talk about, okay? Yeah. The 6 killer mindsets that through the history we've gone through of what I've described, one, we have come out to think that we are victims. Victims. And if you can imagine what a victim is, you are always fearing and bending and coiling yourself because you think somebody is sitting on you, because you think for you were cast. That's what you are. We think like. We need to replace that with a feeling of not victim, but victor.
Yeah.
Are you getting me?
Yeah, so that's a very nice point.
Yes.
The first killer point for killer mindset is that you're a victim.
Yes.
Yeah. And many times in the past, our education systems were showing us that that you are a victim, that you can't use your education to make money.
You can't.
You can't think outside the box.
Yes.
Okay, which is the second
killer mindset? The second killer mindset is that we are inferior. Africans, we are inferior. The Mzungu is on top. Everything, we cannot equal that. We are down there. We are inferior. And you know the effects you can have when you have that. And it has affected us. All these I am mentioning have affected us as we are inferior. You think you are not able. How can I cannot make an aeroplane. You know, how can I? I'm a woman. How can I do this? I am an old man at 74 years. You know, I am useless if you think like that. But that feeling is there. So that is inferiority complex.
So the first one was victim.
Yes.
Always being considered as a victim. We're talking about the killer mindsets and how we can burst out of those killer mindsets and ensure that we become successful entrepreneurs, and our education system backs us up in the same way. So the first killer mindset is being the victim.
A victim.
The second one is the inferiority complex. And the third one?
Okay, the third one is self-hatred. A mindset of when an African on the general, and please, ladies and gentlemen out there, examine yourself. We have this thing which has been put into us to be colonized better, to be managed better, to still praise the Western and so on and so forth without learning what is there. You get me? Every time an African looks at himself or herself, you hate either your nose, or you hate your head, or you hate your eyebrows, or you hate your lips, or you hate your body. You know, what do? Because of that, that's why a lot of Africans are wearing artificial hair, actually sisal on their heads. Are you getting me? Because they have come up to hate their own hair. And they say, you see, my hair is bad. It is difficult to comb, you know. Then, of course, you see how many people paint their lips with the lipstick and so on and so forth to make the lips maybe better and what, you know, the eyebrows and everything. Look at people who no longer even have nails. Are you getting me? All this is an indicator of self-hatred. Are you getting me? Because they want to replace what God gave them. It's like me now. If I was suffering from that self-hatred, I would have dyed my gray hair. But for me, I can't dye my gray hair because I love my gray hair, and I've deliberately been going on with, growing it. And I decided a long time ago when I was a teenager that I would never dye my gray hair. Are you getting me? So that is the self-hatred. And you know what that one throws us up. Yeah. We are left with 3 more.
We're left with 3 more. We're talking to Mr. Fajr Mande. We're talking about how our education system can propel entrepreneurship on the African continent. We're talking first and foremost about where it all started. Why is it that people, or why is it that a student today or a business person today feels that he's not good enough, feels that he cannot compete at the topmost level possible? So we're here to give you the skills, we're here to give you the tools and to unlock your potential this morning. I'm talking to Mr. Fajal Monday. We're going for a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back.
Smart 24, driving business.
My name is Aisha Naimi. I'm the director of the Solar Innovation Center. The Innovation Center is a clean technology innovation hub that promotes sustainable energy future in Dubai and beyond. And it's located at the heart of Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Solar Park, which is considered among the largest single-site solar park worldwide based on the IPP model. The Innovation Center is focusing on 3 key pillars: innovation, education, and inspiration. The education by empowering youth and building their capabilities in the field of clean and renewable energy. We are hosting professional training, providing workshops and trainings to empower the next generation of innovators in the field of renewable and clean energy. The inspiration by inspiring people and raising their awareness about sustainability and the green initiatives of DIWA. That support Dubai transition toward the clean energy. So it's open to public to come and visit the Innovation Center and see the actual initiatives and the projects in real life. And we are focusing as well on the innovation by showcasing the latest technologies that are being adapted to the project of the solar park and DIWA in general, the renewable and green initiatives of DIWA.
Smart 24, driving business.
Thank you for staying tuned to Smart 24 Television, where we drive your business, and we're driving it this morning. Your business is our business, so we want to get you out of that rut. We want to get you out of that pothole and drive your business to success. This is the Business Insight segment. My name is Jane Kasumba, and we're talking about how we can use the education system to propel entrepreneurship, not just in Uganda, but across the African continent. My guest this morning is Mr. Fajal Monday. He's, of course, a teacher by profession, and he holds a diploma in education and National Teachers College in Chambogo, a Bachelor of Arts from Makerere University, Kampala, and a master's degree in drama and theater, in playwriting and directing from Leeds University. He's an academic giant and has attended several other courses, including certificates, outward bound courses. He's attained in Loitoktok.
Yes.
He has a certificate in school administration in Middlehead, Sydney, Australia, a certificate in personal management, training and advisory center in Kampala. He also holds a certificate in the national leadership from National Leadership Institute, Chakwazi. He also has numerous other credentials as well. Mr. Mande is proficient in several languages like English, Luganda, Rutoro, Nyankole, and Kiswahili. You speak all these languages?
Pardon?
You speak all these languages?
Yeah,
Fluently?
only those.
And fluently?
Yes, all of them except Kiswahili. Yes, I can speak. Naweza kuzungumza Kiswahili, lakini sijui kila mambo yote.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But most importantly, we are a continental channel, an African channel. So you're joining us from East, West, South, or North Africa. You're most welcome. And of course, Mr. Mande, we were talking about the killer mindsets. Those killer mindsets that have really trapped your potentiality. Today, if you're sitting there in your home, you could have been the next multi-billionaire, African multi-millionaire, African magnate, and yet you're not. The fact that you're maybe highly educated and don't have the necessary tools or skills to get ahead in business. And then you see someone perhaps who never went to school is riding high, is at the Dangote level. So that's what we're discussing this morning. And just a quick repeat for those who are joining us, Mr. Mande, about the killer mindset, the three first killer mindsets.
The first three killer mindsets are the mindset of victim. It's like somebody is sitting on you and preventing you. And the system is sitting on you, actually. That's what it is. And we feel it and we remain there. Okay? Then the other one is inferiority. We feel we are not equal to other people, particularly the white people. You know, we think we are third world. We think everything about us is wrong. Then the other one is self-hatred. We dislike ourselves, you know, and we dislike even our parts of the body. I mean, you see how many people are working on it, even their bodies artificially to make them different from what their bodies are. I'm not talking about exercising your body to shape it and make it stronger, but we change our bodies and transform them into artificial things because we dislike ourselves. Some people even change the way they speak because they dislike their voice unfairly, because there's nothing wrong about it. That's what God gave you, and you can only improve it, you know, to ensure that you are using it properly. Those are three. Okay?
What is the fourth killer mindset?
The fourth killer mindset, ladies and gentlemen, is a big one. We are fond of copying. We copy nearly everything we are doing. We copy political systems, we copy walking styles, we copy speaking styles, we copy appearances, even body shapes. Are you getting me? Now I know how many people are copying these what are these things they put on the verandas for dresses and so on.
The mannequins.
Yeah, exactly, you know. So we copy everything, so we never create our own. That's why even the education system is what it is, because we've been copying it. Just like now here in Uganda, the international school is becoming more and more popular. Are you getting me? Okay? But nobody knows the curriculum seriously. Nobody inspects that sort of curriculum. Are you getting me? But it's been brought in and others are brought in. So we are all just copying all the time. Then, of course, the third one,
the fourth one.
Yes.
So the fifth one.
The fifth one is hardism. We behave not like individuals, all right? Our individualism has died. We behave like the group of people. It's like a group is running, so you join the group running, and you don't ask why you are joining it. Oh, most children are going to this type of school. You know, I will also send my child in that school. It's like a sheep, a group of sheep. You know, I saw one video where sheep were climbing up a mountain, and they came to a cliff. And the leading sheep fell down, and the rest of the sheep fell down because they were not questioning; they were just following the leader. You know, hard. You know, not thinking what. That hardism. And then, of course, the sixth one is one which is the elite dilemma. Elite dilemma means that the more people go to schools now, up, and I can demonstrate this with time. Are you getting me? The more they become confused. Even when they get doctorates, professorship, and so on, the more they don't understand themselves, the more they don't understand what is the problem, the more they don't understand whether to follow the whites or Chinese or other countries in Africa. They don't know. They are simply confused, and they are at a crossroad. So the so-called educated people have not been able to decide and focus and be the source of change, you know. So those are the 6 killer mindsets.
Because someone might ask you that, Mr. Mande, are you saying that to perhaps get a master's after your first degree, go to a master's, get a doctorate, get a PhD? I think that is wrong.
What I'm saying that the content of what you are doing is what is wrong.
Yeah.
It continues to just continue. I mean, look at it. Look at the university. Okay, there are no discussions anymore at university level. Even the tutorials have disappeared. You get me? The students never go out into the world seriously. They come out and it's all about cram work. A lot of students now are hiring people even to do assignments for them. You get me? The content and how it is being managed is so poor, it only dries you up. Let me give you an example, ladies and gentlemen, you are viewing. I have been giving an example of our senior 6 leavers, for example. Senior 6 is the last stage to go to university or other tertiary institutions.
Yes.
Okay? And I've been saying, look at how the boys walk or the girls walk. When you look at the bodies of the boys, the bodies are not organized and managed well. They don't even know how to carry their hands. They don't know how to look properly. They don't know how to estimate. They don't know how to listen and understand. They cannot create anything new. In short, they have been actually sacked by the system, and they are now just empty body and empty brain. You get me? This is what is happening, all right? Because of the system which we have and the content of what we have. But that's not what we should be producing. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
All right? So that's why I'm saying it's very, very dangerous, and it produces. So the degrees we get, I mean, that one of the reasons, for example, why I have not gone beyond my master's degree, deliberately. I decided that I was not going to do another degree. I concentrated that instead of going to do another degree above my master's degree, was to do practical things and build them up. If it is writing my books, if it is my training programs, if it is how I work myself, I improve those. You see what is happening now. Do you realize that increasingly, and this is not only in Uganda, people do the first degree. For example, a young man or a young woman finishes HSC and goes and gets a degree. They finish the degree, the following year they have gone, some of them, to masters. They finish the masters, the following year they go for a PhD. Now, what is it? It's a matter of chasing the certificates. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
And I've advised those who approach me, because I do that advising as part of my consultancy work. Are you getting me? I say, wait, why don't you first practice that level and justify it in terms of production, in terms of thinking, in terms of service delivery, and then you can go up to upgrade, to look for another service and create it. But it's now a certificate game. And people are moving around with a heap of certificates without a heap of skills.
And I think that is a very poignant thing.
Yeah.
Having a heap of certificates and absolutely no skill. And I think that's where the education system must bridge that gap. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Mande, the issue that throughout our education systems across the African continent, there is not a single perhaps course or major, early on, let me talk about early on, major training, let's say, that makes a student learn how to make money or focus on business. Why is that, and how can we change that?
Because we inherited an education system and we have maintained it ourselves, because we are in power. The Africans have become independent and so on and so forth. It was not, education was not meant, according to the way it was introduced, to make you build yourself. It was not meant to make you understand yourself. It was not meant for you to understand how you can use the environment which God created for you to make wealth. It was meant to turn you into a beggar all the time. Because remember, the colonials didn't come here to lift you up and make you great. The colonialist came here and was looking for raw materials, was looking for a market, was looking for cheap labor. Are you getting me? And that's what has happened now. Are you getting me? So we have not, and remember the 6 killer mindsets, we have not looked at what should be ours because we don't actually understand ourselves because of the 6 killer mindsets. All right? So we have not. We tried one time, you remember, some of the viewers you may remember, there was a time when we started some crafts in schools, crafts, doing papyrus and doing carpets and so on. I did that at a certain age. All that has died out. There were some schools which were supposed to offer the academic, are you getting me? And also some vocational subjects, that one was cancelled out because seriously, we do not know what we want, we do not know how to do it, and we are just floating around under the so-called education system now.
Yeah. So now let's fast track. The world has greatly changed now, Mr. Mande. We are in the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, like they say, or we're in it already. But most importantly, we are really in the time of the AI. They call it the artificial intelligence generation. You can imagine, we had web developers. You call your web developer and tell him, I need you to do my website, and it takes him maybe a week, and he bills you for that. But now with AI, an AI can make a web design and create a website in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. That means that the job of the web developer is gone. Let's take a look at maybe the legal profession. There are AIs that are coming that will be able to clearly demarcate for you the documents that are required within the court process. The lawyer sometimes will be fumbling to find which document is the right document. And yet the AI is able to do that like this.
Yeah.
So what am I trying to say? In the generation of the artificial intelligence mind or artificial intelligence industry, a lot of jobs are going to suddenly be phased out. My question to you, Mr. Mande, as a person who has been in education and who is strategic by nature, what can we do now that we've entered the AI generation? A person who's watching this morning, an entrepreneur who's watching this morning, how can he plan for his business or her business when it comes to the AI generation?
First of all, we need to stop moving along that route. Not that we throw away technology, we throw away robots, we throw away computers, we throw away artificial intelligence. No. Now it is the song everywhere. And that song, ladies and gentlemen, is a deliberate song. The makers of the technology, the makers of artificial intelligence, the thinking robot now, whatever it is, the machine which has come, are you getting me, are actually dominating the world of production. Because he who makes ICT will be the ruler of the earth. And when you look at now life today, ladies and gentlemen, who is controlling life in the whole global village? It's only a few people. Even in my guess, I've not done enough research myself, but other people you have, maybe some of you, less than 20 human beings today are controlling the way you move. They are controlling the way you think. They are controlling your choice of things. They are controlling everything. They are controlling how you do your work.
What businesses you can do.
What businesses you can do. Are you getting me? The only business now which is coming out seriously now is when you use the the technology, which is fine. But, ladies and gentlemen, I have no quarrel with the technology. It is good. Like one young man told me at one workshop we're running, he said, but technology has come to make our life easy. I agree. And that's what everybody is. But remember, we are suffering from the 6 killer mindsets already. We are hollow. And now even the few skills we have are being pulled away. Yeah. Actually, they are being dominated. I read somewhere in some research that today, as we are talking, 75% of human activities have been taken over by robots and other technologies. So that means the human being actually is left with only 25%
of a
Now the
contribution that they can
African,
make.
on
Yeah.
top of that, is suffering from those 6 killer mindsets where they cannot innovate, where they cannot think, where they cannot decide, whether they cannot do anything in their interest. They are only copying everything. So what will happen to the African? The answer is the African will remain just a body mass with muscles simply to buy and use. Simply to buy and use. Because no, there is no machine Africa has produced today. Even when they have produced vehicles, all the spare parts have come from outside. Are you getting me?
But Mr. Mr. Mande, that is quite a huge punch to those who are innovating. You're trying to tell us that we can't make something 100% as Africans?
I mean, where are they? Look at the things we would count. Which vehicle has ever been made in Africa? Which ship was ever made in Africa? Which research, or where have we ever traveled into space as Africans? Mm-hmm. You know? So really, we are not innovative. Our days of innovation stopped when Egypt was standing up and came up with the pyramids and so on and so forth. But that creativity, that innovation, making something new, are you getting, after looking at others, how many innovations have we made? We've made some small ones. I mean, like, for example, I, as an individual, when I was in the Ministry of Education, I did write the school's prayer, which was supposed to bring together all our students in our institutions. Are you getting me? I wrote it. I wrote it because then I was a headmaster of a primary school which had been for British, and there were so many divisions among the students and the parents, and we wanted them to come together under the name of God. Are you getting me? I created that prayer. And I can say I am the only one who has ever created a prayer to work in our schools. Are you getting me? To bring our children under God together, not to separate them. Are you getting me? So innovation has been slow. And not there. This is why I am particularly worried that the increasing population today is only going to become a time bomb, because we have not improved it in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge, in terms of body performance. Are you getting me? We have not. All right? So innovation is slow, and we need to turn around that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my question to you, Mr. Mande, we've diagnosed the problem. What can we do as Africans to make sure, because we're talking not just to Uganda, to the Ugandan population who's watching us, Ugandan viewers who are watching us today. We're talking to over 1 billion people on the African continent. Yeah. My question to you, because that is our key and primordial focus really, is the African population on the continent. I want to ask you today, Mr. Mande, we've diagnosed the problem. And we want to make sure that our education system is in line with our business systems so that we can have successful entrepreneurs. Those successful entrepreneurs can be able to fulfill, and not only that, to spur the economy in various African countries. So my question to you is, how can we get out of this rut? What can we do to prepare ourselves for this AI generation?
One, we need to re-examine, particularly at the leadership level, what sort of African do you want? What? I keep quoting this. The Americans came out with the American dream, and they've been living by the American dream. Okay? What is the African dream? What is the African we want? And this is scientific, nothing to do with this cheap politics of colors and groups and so on and so forth. Are you getting me? How do we manage to produce a new African, and what will it be? All right? Yeah. Because we need to know, one, that I need a multi-skilled African. I need an African with a strong body that's not weak. I need an African who can live for more than 50 years only. Are you getting me? And this is what I'm going to do. So we need to decide, we need to concentrate, ladies and gentlemen, on making the human being now.
The African, so that's number one.
Yes.
The second one.
Okay. The second one is that we need to devise a program or to guide. No, one, we go into our needs. We need to analyze what are our needs now. Because if we will go wrong on our needs, then we shall be following the wrong route. What do we need as Africa? What do we need as Uganda? Are you getting me? Because a thing like, for example, in Uganda, we need a lot of unity. We need skilled population. We need a country that can use the natural resources that we have used. Are you getting me? To live the standard of the lowest, Africa is still the poorest continent on earth. Are you getting me? In spite of the treasures which God gave us, all right? So we look at what we need, and then we draw out programs. We draw out. Are you getting me? Like for me, I've drawn out certain programs which I've been introducing even in schools and so on and so forth. Slowly, one, and then I've tried also when I was in the Ministry of Education to do it. Do you know that in the ministry, when I was there, chairing a committee, we came out with what was the basic requirements and minimum standards indicators for all schools in Uganda. And those minimum standards indicators were adopted by the Ministry of Education. You get me? And they were supposed to produce that young person at the school level. Are you getting me? At the school level.
So that you can become a successful African.
Yeah, they can become successful, because you can't make somebody successful without looking after what one must use to be successful. Are you getting me? So we need to do that deliberate programs to transform the human being we have. Are you getting me today? All right? And then, thirdly, we need to be able, when we are very weak as Africa, really. When we set up something, all right, it is diverted by some people, right? I will tell you right now, really as a Ugandan, there was a time when there was a lot of training of the human beings in Uganda. I took part in that. I trained more, thousands and thousands, and this was taking place all over the country. A training program. It was actually called Muchaka Muchaka. And I saw it. I saw how people were changing. I can quote you districts which even learned to put on, to wear shoes. Are you getting me? After the training, without being forced, and so on and so forth. I can tell you districts which started smearing houses and so on and so forth because of that mass training. There is no mass training anymore.
So there's a need
today.
So you're saying that there's a constant need to train? Yes,
there is constant need to train. The human being you want will not come by accident. These programs, now the social media is teaching everybody whatever they are teaching them. Are you getting me? Even the mothers, the school at home has died. Are you getting me? The mothers and fathers cannot shape their children anymore now because they think it is not necessarily they are too busy. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So we need to draw out clear programs of how to train our people and stand by them. Right? Which program? I was actually even discussing with a certain group of teachers 3 days ago at a teacher training college. Who is in charge of shaping the human being of Uganda? If you ask me at my age and my level of education, and I'm an education consultant, and I'm a human resource, there is not a single unit in Uganda together which shapes the human being of Uganda. We are busy making roads, which is not bad. We are busy even buying airplanes. We are doing that. That's what is there. But who is building the Ugandan? Collectively together. We now think we are now in a very funny position. We think that a human being can only be built at school. We have forgotten that a human being is never. I was not built at school only. You were not built at school only. You were built at the school at home. You were built at the school in the community and what you saw. But now everybody thinks school, school, school. And we have not come out to define exactly what is in the school. Yeah. To produce the Ugandan we want. So really that's what we need. We need to be clear about what is the problem. We need to know what we should do, what we should train people in, and we need to know to follow up. If we have said, for example, that we have introduced the basic requirements and minimum standards indicators in schools, who is monitoring it? Even you. How many times have you heard that there is a thing called basic requirements and minimum standards indicators, which was talking about what should be in every classroom, what programs of co-curricular should be there, and for how long, what machines would be there, what maps would be there. Do you know that it was a time when in the minimum standards that every classroom must have a clock? Because the whole idea was a child who goes to school must learn time management. if we are going to make them into entrepreneurs, innovators, and so on and so forth. Are you getting me? So really, we need to follow up. If we can't, the technical staff can't, let's hire special groups to come and monitor and evaluate.
Yeah.
So that's what we need, right? And then, of course, I can say, I think people like us, or you who are listening in and watching, watching and listening in, is that we can start these programs ourselves. And I will give you, I have a program which I'm going to start in January. And I've been doing it since 2001. And I've seen its results. And it is aimed at producing that Ugandan. They may be 100 people
but they can,
or 50, but they will have changed. And I see them, I see even how they walk, how they look, they smile, how they carry their body. I see them changed. I see a child who has never touched a piece of matoke, live, touching a piece of matoke and loving it. Not just eating it, but touching it. So individuals, other groups, let's not wait for government only. We need to start these training programs. We need to begin, which will change people. We need to produce materials like the books which we write. I want to appeal to you people, ladies and gentlemen, write more and more books and work on the campaign and make sure that the books are read. Let's promote reading to get more skills, all right? Now we are getting them from the small teacher in the class. But how big is the small teacher in the class? Are you getting me? Because all other sources of information are not in control. We are not in control of them. So we are depending on the teacher alone who has tried their best, but we need even to equip the teacher with extraordinary skills now to produce an extraordinary human being in Uganda.
And that's where we're going to leave this discussion, the ability to use the education system to create that extraordinary African who will be able to become the entrepreneur of the future and propel the African economies on large scale. Thank you very much to Mr. Mande. Mr. Mande has been my guest this morning. Mr. Fajal Mande is also an author. I can see that he has authored quite a few books. The Youths and You, How Not to Die Easily. It's a very interesting book. This one, Top Secrets of Educating Your Child. I think that is very, very worthwhile. And I think this one is...
has been put together around me.
Yes, this is your autobiography, The African Icon.
No, this one is the autobiography, Self-Engineering. That is the book I launched in August, my 8th book.
Yeah.
My autobiography is Self-Engineering, a true story about success.
Yeah, Self-Engineering, a true story about success.
Yes.
And of course, preparing for and enjoying retirement.
You can see how it is human related. These books, I write them after learning from the community so that people may use them, one, to transform themselves. Are you getting
and be a better person, be a better African. You know? I have to bid you adieu this morning. Special thank you to my guest, Mr. Fajal Mande, who's talked about bridging education and entrepreneurship and making sure that we focus on the primordial person that matters, that is the African person, and create the African person that we want, who can become a successful entrepreneur at all levels and at all scales.
And the other program which I talked about, the transformation.
Yes.
In January, from 2nd to 21st January 2024, I am going to run a course for 18 days for senior 6s, senior 5s, 4, 3, and university students to transform them into what you are looking for.
That is it.
All right.
On that note, I have to bid you adieu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you so much for allowing us into your homes. Thank you so much for allowing Smart 24 Television to drive your business this morning. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
I'm a manager of Manyakabi Area Cooperative Enterprise. It was formulated way back in 2004.